Woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words
and
migrate.
So why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice. Who's not for that? But words do migrate.
At all concerned about the fact that the International Criminal Court just today issued a subpoena for Bibi Netanyahu?
Well, that's...
Why is there so much disagreement on a single argument? Bill Maher's TV appearance wasn't just another show since he was known for speaking his mind without holding back. Rather, it was a showdown that exposed America's failings and the way it talks about identity, politics, and culture. Maher addressed Sunny Hostin and her co-hosts on some of the most divisive issues facing Trump supporters today, such wokeness and accountability, using his sharp sense of humor and direct approach. What made this specific moment significant? The way Maher's ideas challenged the crowd and had an influence that extended far beyond it was equally as impressive as Hostin's impassioned comments. What made one country a cultural hub? These disputes include more than just personality difficulties. They expose a deeper rift that is currently shaping America. Why, therefore, do these discussions go for weeks? Let's look at the beginning first. Even though the program is known for its controversial talks, this exchange was a powder keg on the edge of exploding up. Bill Maher, who was known for his direct statements, walked into a room full with strong feelings and opinions. The audience clapped enthusiastically.
In the first segment, you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're...
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected. Yeah. So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
It was hard to ignore Maher's criticism in light of Joy Behar's unrestrained comments, Whoopi Goldberg's attempts at control, and Sunny Hostin's astute legal advice and forward-thinking stance. Maher contributed his own witty and bitingly critical approach, but Hostin remained steadfast in her defense of her principles. But it was more than just a panel debate. It became an intellectual battleground where concepts like accountability and wokeness were not only debated, but also thoroughly investigated. What caused this spark to happen? The ensuing inferno after the trigger contained only one explosive assertion. Viewers of all political persuasions were incensed by Joy Behar's divisive comparison of MAGA headgear to swastikas. She was swiftly assailed by those who said she trivialized Nazi crimes and unfairly singled out millions of Americans. Bill Maher, without holding back, described the analogy as dangerous and asserted that it alienates rather than convinces people.
I mean, it's just astounding to me that they can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. I mean, just morally. I mean, let me tell you, if you're for Hamas, just live in Gaza for a day. And I'm not talking about while the war is on. I mean, before the war. Trust me, you would go running and screaming and begging to live in Tel Aviv, a place that has your value.
This was about how America discusses its differences, not just about Trump or his followers. The debate erupted when the term woke was introduced. Maher responded to Behar's emphasis on the need to hold Trump supporters accountable by saying that such sweeping generalizations widen the divide and impede productive dialogue. The tension in the air left even the crowd uncertain about how to respond. Reminding everyone that woke first stood for awareness of racial injustice in Black communities, Sunny Hostin passionately defended its origins. Bill Maher, however, wouldn't let her off the hook, asserting that woke has turned into a performative activist symbol that alienates the average American and that language changes. Policies like cancel culture and defunding the police may work in progressive circles, but they turn off left-leaning people, he said, citing practical repercussions. Hostin argued that being aware of injustice couldn't be a bad thing.
Don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a joke. But,
Too dark.
Well, maybe it is, but it's true. I mean, you know, if I had any doubt that I was right about the change that's happened in the left, watching people protest for a terrorist organization like Hamas, that straightened me up pretty.
Maher did not let it go. He questioned the idea that millions of individuals could be summed up in a single negative caricature. The contentious conversation was about to take yet another unexpected turn as they talked about the issue of moral failure. Though he agreed in principle, Maher warned that the left's fixation on intellectual and linguistic purity was giving Trump and his followers easy material. Maher asserts that many Trump supporters are driven more by economic hardship, discontent with the political system, or a belief that progressive elites overlook them than by bigotry or prejudice. Making fun of others doesn't change opinions, it just makes them more disparate, he said. Sarah Haynes adopted a more circumspect stance, while Sunny Hostin increased her backing for Maher's cause. It became clear that the conversation was about more than just the left. It was about healing a divided country when Maher blasted the left for failing to connect with ordinary Americans when the subject shifted to Israel. Haynes emphasized that one should attempt to understand why the left supports him rather than harshly criticizing them. Throughout the discussion, tensions over the Hamas conflict flared. Bill Maher, who called Hamas a terrorist organization, strongly condemned protests that appeared to support the organization. He emphasized the need to eradicate such groups and framed the conflict as one of survival.
This is a show watched by a lot of women. Women have no rights in this place, and a lot of major Muslim countries around the world. There is no equal rights as far as speech, dress, opportunities for education, reproductive rights, freedom from sexual violence, freedom from sexual harassment.
The LGBTQ. No. Yes.
That too. But you throw around the term apartheid. There is a gender apartheid in a lot of the world, where women are second-class citizens, at best.
Sunny Hostin responded by expressing her concerns over Gaza's humanitarian crisis and calling attention to the killings of innocent people, especially women and children. Maher maintained his position that Israel had to defend itself because of Hamas animosity, even though he acknowledged the tragedy. The altercation was a watershed in Maher's openness, drawing both acclaim and criticism. As the host's passionate plea made clear, by the end of the show, the debate had broadened beyond Israel and Gaza to include how we manage the gray areas in international situations. The foundation of what he calls America's mean girls culture has been challenged by Bill Maher, who claims that the country has grown overly fixated on punishing anyone who says something incorrect and that cancel culture is no more about taking responsibility but about limiting dissent. He called attention to the left's obsession with ideological purity, which weakens moderates' greatest arguments and alienates them.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So how do we get out with a ceasefire?
All right. So Hamas needs to be destroyed because they are a terrorist organization who say openly that they want to commit genocide on the Jewish people, on the state of Israel. That's what from the river to the sea means. Okay? And they say it very openly. They said, we did this attack. They've attacked Israel 5 times. They've started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to, and they took a lot of money that they took from the international community and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume the Israeli... Of course, everybody is, but that's what happens in a war. Here's a way to stop that. Stop it.
Laws that don't seem to have an impact on the typical American, such as severing police funding or using harsh language, are increasingly being used as political instruments to target the left. Maher's critique focused on how society's inability to have candid conversations is preventing real development, going beyond politics. Rather than less, cautioning that without real touch, the cultural gap will only deepen. The statement was painful, but it also struck a chord. The studio was immediately and significantly impacted by Maher's appearance on The View, with reactions reflecting his critiques. The audience applauded the panel in spite of their differences.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So how do we get out with a ceasefire?
All right. So Hamas needs to be destroyed because they are a terrorist organization who say openly that they want to commit genocide on the Jewish people, on the state of Israel. That's what from the river to the sea means. Okay? And they say it very openly. They said, we did this attack. They've attacked Israel 5 times. They've started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to, and they took a lot of money that they took from the international community and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume the Israeli... Of course, everybody is, but that's what happens in a war. Here's a way to stop that.
Everyone was left wondering what all of this meant for the left, regardless of whether they agreed with Maher's opinions. His frank critique had either triggered a deep emotion or revealed disturbing truths about progressive rhetoric. Maher's presence was a challenge as much as a discussion starter. He advised the left to focus on the problems that ordinary Americans face rather than alienating people with theatrical action and ideological purity. He warned that the obsession with wokeness and stereotyping was working against Trump, not in his favor. But Maher wasn't only laying blame. His criticism was driven by a desire for more genuine conversation rather than divisive hyperbole. Additionally, he criticized the mean girls mentality that he believes dominates American society and politics. Bill Maher's controversial discussion of the issue was more than a condemnation or defense of awakened idea. It was a wake-up call for a divided nation, urging everyone, particularly the left, to reconsider how they handle political and cultural conversation. One thing is certain, regardless of whether the left heeds his counsel, open communication and an open mindset are essential to bridging America's cultural divide. The current culture of discarding, labeling, and canceling people is ineffective, Maher stated unequivocally. Progressives must focus on solutions that appeal to the average American rather than alienating moderates with their flexible ideas if they are to gain greater support and political independence. So, what do you think? Kindly leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Additionally, if you want to keep informed about the most recent celebrity news, make sure to subscribe.